Hi everyone, we've just hit 11 o'clock. So I think, Joanne, if you can hear me, if you can see me, then I'll get started.
Yeah,
Hopefully you can. Fantastic. So let me just share my screen. Hopefully you can see that, Joanne.
I can. Yes, no problems.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um, Great. So I'll kick off. So hi everyone. My name is Dom, and I work here as part of the team at Fledglink. So what I'm going to be covering in the next 15 minutes or so is the results for our recent employer survey. So we found some really interesting insights around how employers are feeling right now, but also more importantly, how they're going to be recruiting for 2021 and beyond. There's been a lot of press around the effects that COVID has had on employer numbers, whether that's sort of normal programs that employers will recruit for, whether those are school leaver programs. There's been some interesting stories coming out, so we just wanted to present some really interesting findings from those employers. So I think just for a bit of context, it would be good if I just gave you a bit of an overview of who we are at Fledglink and what our mission is before I go into those interesting findings. So we are an app-based organization, and we have a main vision and a main mission. So our main vision is that every young person, whatever their starting point, will be able to achieve their maximum potential. So wherever that young person is from, whatever their opportunities have been up to this point, we have designed an app that will basically enable them to open as many doors as possible and really help them to feel more confident and more prepared about the world of work. So we're really focused on opening as many different school leaver opportunities in particular to students. And we also have a mission, which is to support especially students who are NEET. So they're not in education, not employment, not in training. So we have two sort of main aims as an organisation. In terms of how we deliver our service, so we have, as I mentioned, the Fledgling app, which is the core of our offering, and this is a completely free app for schools to be using, but also it's a free app for students to download and register on. We have a number of different features on the app, which are all designed to bring students closer to opportunities. And as I mentioned earlier, really get them feeling prepared and more confident for the world of work. So we have our digital CV section. We have our grow section, which is all focused on skills development and really making sure young people feel very confident when they're going into things like interviews and going for jobs themselves. We also have our website. So you can check out our website. We have different opportunities on there, different blogs as well in terms of finding out careers related information. We have a suite of workshops and we're also on Instagram. So that is a very high level overview of our offering. What I'm going to do at the end is just point you to our exhibition booth, and what you can do on there is just leave your details. So I'll come on to that a little bit later on. So in terms of the survey itself, we had a really fantastic response from employers. So I've just put together a bit of an overview of some of the employers that I'm sure you will recognise, but just to show the scale as to which our responses have come from. So some really well known national companies on there. So, in terms of an overview of our results, so we surveyed 27 different employers, and as you saw before, some really big ones, national ones, offering some really great school leaver opportunities. So, employers like AstraZeneca, Sky, Virgin Media, Capgemini, so some really big names. In terms of what they are going to be offering for 2021, so 88% of those employers will be hiring apprentices, and 65% of those employers will be hiring work experience students. So offering day experiences, week experiences, whatever those look like. in terms of how many students employers are going to be taking on, so on average, each employer will be taking on 82 new hires, which to me, I thought that's a really fantastic number in terms of how many school leaver opportunities employers are going to be hiring for. So that was just a bit of an overview as to what the pool of employers looks like. So, in terms of the numbers, and what I touched upon right at the start, there's been a lot of press around for, in particular, COVID related. Budgets are going to be tighter. Early careers teams aren't going to have the resource that they had before COVID. And how is this actually going to impact the number of school leaver opportunities that a company can recruit for? So, the first one I thought was really, really promising. 78% of the employers that we surveyed will be hiring more or the same numbers in 2021 than 2020. So we can see there's still an upward trajectory of school leaver opportunities when compared with the previous year. So some really, really promising numbers there. And if we look ahead for 2022, we also asked those same employers, compared to 2021, what you're predicting for 2021, how likely is it that you're going to be employing more or the same? 73% of those employers said it will be more or the same numbers. So overwhelmingly, really, really positive numbers and positive feedback from employers to be sharing with your students, but also yourselves as well. I think it's really important that you know what these numbers are actually looking like. And then in terms of the programs, so what these programs are going to be. So the top 5 programs that employers are going to be recruiting for in terms of their departments. So number one, I don't think this will come as much of a surprise, but technology. So things like cybersecurity, data analysis, loads and loads of STEM related subjects, operations as well. So things like logistics and supply chain, finance, STEM, and then marketing. So those are the top 5 sort of functional areas that employers are going to be recruiting for 2021. And then just an interesting stat around where these opportunities are actually going to be. COVID has had a major impact on where employers are going to be based, how employees are actually going to be working. So we wanted to ask employers how you see your 2021 opportunities. Where are these actually going to be? So of the employers that we surveyed, 58% will be adopting a hybrid approach. So this will be a mixture of school leavers working from home, maybe working more remotely in different locations, but having a bit of a blend. And I think more and more employers are going to be adopting this approach as we get into lockdown restrictions easing. Another interesting stat, only 12% will have fixed locations. And this stat before lockdown was somewhere in the region of 60 to 70%. So a major, major drop in employers actually saying that they're only going to be based in one particular location. So then in terms of how businesses are recruiting and what are the sort of things that they're looking for from school leavers. So the number one was motivations and strengths. So students showing that they are really motivated to join a particular employer or a particular program, showing that they have the drive, the desire, and also showing that they have strengths. So they have used different experiences that they've had maybe during school, outside of school, and they're embedding them in the answers that they're going to be giving at the interview stage, at the assessment center stage. So really, really interesting that is number one. I think the other thing to point out is that there is definitely less emphasis on the grades that students will be coming out with. So a really interesting stat, only 11% of employers will be focusing on predicted grades or predicted UCAS points as a whole. So really, really interesting. And as I said, number one, 40% of employers will be focusing on motivations and strengths as the number one priority in their recruitment process. And then in terms of how employers will actually be recruiting, so no surprise, and I don't think this is actually been majorly influenced by COVID. 93% of employers will adopt an online application process. So your typical creating some sort of application form, answering criteria that is based around that program, entry requirements, things like that, and submitting an application. 61% will be adopting a virtual interview and a virtual assessment centre. So, really important that students know how to prepare for those and what's actually going to take place. And then 35% will be adopting a video interview. And these are things that are quite daunting and again need some preparation for. And then 30% will be adopting a situational judgment test, basically testing students on different areas and how they would respond to certain scenarios. So really interesting to see that those top 5 ways in which employers will actually be hiring are all digital. Only 25% will be using face-to-face interviews or face-to-face assessment centres. So a real change towards digital ways of employing. So then in terms of what employers are actually looking for, the exact strengths and qualities, we put together a bit of a mashup of the different keywords and key strengths that employers were telling us. Things like communication came out a lot, learning, having a passion, teamwork, problem solving. So it's really about making sure that your students understand that these skills are really, really important. And I've got some feedback on the next slide, but really, really important for students to know that there is a difference when it comes to going into an organization. There is quite a jump from school, and it's just being prepared for the world of work and knowing sort of what strengths are being looked at by employers and what are really important for them. Just conscious of time, looking at my phone. In terms of the future of jobs, so we asked employers, what are the top 5 jobs that your company is going to be recruiting for on an increase? So what jobs are going to be going up and going down? So in terms of the ones that are going to be decreasing, administration roles came up as the number 1. Other things like events, office management, finance. Events, not particularly surprising given the lockdown restrictions that we're seeing right now. And 35% said admin roles were declining as the number 1 sort of program that was declining. And actually, a lot of employers said that there is a real need for school leavers coming into their organizations to be able to do different jobs. So not just focusing on one particular project or one particular task at a time. It was really important that they could adapt to new situations and meet new skills areas. So really, really interesting stuff. And then a bit less of a surprise, but we're seeing a real rise in data, digital-based roles that employers are recruiting for. So a number of employers are looking at things like project management, cybersecurity, developing, digital marketing. So there is a real emphasis on that data and digital piece. 54% of employers said that they would be recruiting for data and digital roles as their top priority for the future. So then to round up, in terms of the insights that we've looked at and actually how to best prepare your students for the world of work and going into 2021 and 2022. So these are things that our employers have told us in terms of how best to prepare your students. So highlight desired skills. So really, really important, as I mentioned before, that students know about these skills and know that employers now are looking at skills over predicted grades as their number 1 criteria. So we have some activities that are housed in the Fledglink app, particularly in our growth section, that can help to do that. Things like a personality questionnaire, also practice interviews and assessment centres, some really, really good stuff. Connections with brands, so encouraging your students to join things like insight events, webinars with particular employers, just so that they can resonate with them a little bit more, understand exactly who they are, what they do, their reach, just so they're a little bit more prepared when going into things like interviews and assessment centres. So we have a lot of learning, a lot of profiles of employers on the Fledglink app, and we also have a YouTube channel where we share lots of videos related to particular employers, and getting students to resonate a little bit more with them. And then there is definitely some changing habits. So focusing less on your standard CVs and focusing a little bit more on online application processes. There are some differences. And again, there's lots of stuff in the Fledglink app that can help to support those. So we have our ultimate guide to getting a job, and that's a series of different modules, step by step, that will teach students on what employers are looking for and ultimately how best to get a job. And then finally, positive experiences. So this came up a lot from employers in terms of getting ex-apprentices, ex-graduates, ex-placement students back into school, sharing their experiences of what life has been like as a school leaver going into an organisation, and just allowing students to resonate a little bit more with their stories and their experiences. So those are just some key ways in which you can actually help to prepare your students. So what I've done, just shared a bit of a graphic on Fledglink. So we have a booth set up over the next couple of days. So if you want to pop in there, what you can do is actually leave us your details, and then we will get in touch with you to share our offering for your school, and also give you the chance to sign up to a free tutor time demo of the Fledglink app so that you can start embedding that into your career strategy, and enabling the Fledglink app to support your students. Also, just left my email address there if you'd like to get in contact with me directly as well. And our website is fledglink.com. So if you'd like to have a browse on there, you're more than welcome to do so. We are also running an open table discussion at 3:00, based around your thoughts on virtual work experience activities and how best to actually create those. So we're really, really keen to get your thoughts around what you think is the most successful way of doing that, your pain points, and really trying to help you address those with a new virtual work experience offering that we're really, really excited about. So that's all from me. Thanks for joining, and please do pop by the Fledglink booth and we'll give you some more information.
That's brilliant, Dom. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And just to say, guys, the Career Pilot Insight talk is starting in 3 minutes if you'd like to join that. And like Dom said, they have got their open table discussion just after 3:00 today. All right, have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye now.